Iran and world powers also resuming talks in Vienna this week aimed at restoring and bringing back the JCPOA. How do you think this attack is going to impact those talks laid down for this week?
So I actually see this attack as driven more by the Iranian nuclear day. Particularly on that day, there was talk of a new cascade of centrifuges. There was talk of installing more advanced centrifuges, which would again constitute violations of the deal. Violations, which of course Iran is trying to turn into leverage at those very negotiations that you mentioned in Vienna previously. I don't see the attacks as being an impediment to talks. If the Western coalition trying to get Iran back into compliance with the deal was smart, they could probably capitalize on the fact that these attacks have happened and say one way to stop these attacks is to come into compliance with your international obligations. I don't necessarily see that talking point being utilized. I also don't think politically that's where the West is. Again, most fingers in the media right now are pointing to Israel as being the source of this, not the United States. I would tend to agree with that assessment, though there's obviously no confirmation. But I think this will definitely drag out. You're likely to see the cyber war heat up between these two countries in the next few months, and you're likely to see more talk of talking in the next few months. And in the meantime, while there's more cyber attacks and there's more talking, you can almost guarantee that sites like NATANZ will be doing everything they can to continue producing.
Well, that brings me to the next point. How quickly does the US really need to move on Iran? Because we know that President Biden has, of course, suggested that there will be a policy change from, of course, the Trump era.
Indeed. And in fact, you could see in the U.S. Biden getting pressure from his left flank for not moving fast enough. But at least on this issue, with all that Biden has on his plate, patience is indeed a virtue. In fact, the longer the U.S. retains those sanctions that it very much politically eschews on the books, the more likely it is to facilitate a change in Iran's position. Right now, it's been the U.S. that has at least rhetorically changed its position. Prior to the commencement of those exploratory indirect talks, we should say, in Vienna, the U.S. is talking about a stronger and longer deal and about having Iran come into compliance first before there was ever any potential sanctions relief. Those talking points seem to be dropped altogether, whereas the Iranians continue to insist that the U.S. needs sanctions relief up front. So if we had to liken this to a game, I'd say it's a game of nuclear chicken.